So my name is Ara. Welcome back to Bentley House. I am going to be aging some miniatures today. These are minis from my Addams Family Mansion, and these are actually ones from Grandmama's kitchen, and I just recently did that tour. It was 3 weeks ago, something like that. So you can find that on my channel if you haven't seen that. When I repost this, I will make sure I put the link to the tour of Grandmama's kitchen so you can see where these items come from. These are, I don't know if they're mass produced. I did not make them. They're ones that I got from a dollhouse that I bought on Craigslist. I don't have the house anymore, but I still have the furniture. And they're they're well made. They're actually, the wood is really pretty. It has a lot of detail on it. So I'm very happy with these miniatures, but they just don't match the tone of Grandmama's kitchen. So I'm going to be aging those today. And I also have to kind of fix this one a little bit because this is supposed to be like an old-timey water spout, which I think would be perfect for this basement kitchen in an old mansion. So I'm gonna have to fix the handle, and the sink does not have like a little drainy thing, and it's wood, so I'm probably gonna try and fix that up somehow. And then I want to put like a little curtain under here. It has like a little slot, so I don't know if you're supposed to put a curtain here, but that's what I'm gonna try to do today. I also have this little butcher block, and obviously if this butcher block had been used, it would not look so nice and clean. So I'm going to make these things look old. I also have this chair. This was on my Etsy site, but I recently noticed there's like a pin mark or something that's got on it, and so I can't sell this now. There's not really an easy way for me to get this pin mark off, and I don't sell anything that's like this. So I am going to be aging this to put it into my coffee shop project. And again, when I repost this, I'll link my coffee shop playlist, but it's kind of like an old abandoned coffee shop. So I will be aging this one, making it look like it's been torn up in nature for years. I'm gonna try and get through as much as I can. Well, not obviously, you don't know what's in my head. I'm going to start with these and get as far as I can. I did say something in the announcement about using crackle, but I don't think I'm going to be using a crackle medium today. I think I am just going to be adding some age and some dirt. If you've seen any of the Addams movies, if you've seen the scenes with Grandmama's kitchen, there's just stuff everywhere, junk, piles of books and bowls and kitchen implements. So it's not a very clean, hygienic looking place. So I definitely want to gross these up quite a bit. All right, so anyone have any questions or anything? I still, can y'all hear me? If anyone can let me know that would be awesome, because I did have to change my microphone settings because I felt like in my past recordings I was just very, very quiet. So if anyone can hear me and just say, I can hear you, that would be great, so that I'm not just talking to myself. I'm still learning how to use all this fancy stuff, and I just smacked it, so sorry about that. All right, so the first step for aging any miniature, because usually when you get like a I'm just gonna say mass produced, even though, yay, you can hear me, thank you. I'm saying mass produced, but I don't know for sure. I don't have any markings on here. But usually a miniature like this comes with some kind of finish on it. It's like a lacquer, or I don't know. It's this shiny finish. I'm sure you guys can kind of see it, which I'm okay with, but obviously it doesn't make it look old. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lightweight, I always start with a very lightweight sandpaper. and then work up to a harder or a larger grit. Is that right? A rougher grit. Okay. Okay, good. A lot of y'all can hear me. So I'm gonna, sorry for the sanding sounds, but the first thing I'm gonna do is just sand the whole thing down. So now you can see it's getting rid of some of that shine. And this is also gonna help any paint that I put down adhere better. Because anything I do today, I want to stick. And some of y'all might be cringing that I'm messing up a table. I mean, it's a really pretty table, but it's really frustrating because I do have chairs that go with this table, but because of these supports, I can't push the chairs under the table. And so it always looks like the chairs are pushed out, and so it's going to be better for me to work as a kitchen island, which is what I have it working as in the Addams Family mansion. So while this is a very nice looking table, it's not super functional, for me at least. So when it comes to these bits right here, I'm okay if I don't get every single little nook and cranny, because, you know, when something is used over the years, it's going to be the pieces that stick out that get the most wear and tear. So if some of the inside pieces still has some of that shiny lacquer, that could make sense because those pieces aren't getting brushed by things or scuffed against the wall whenever they're being moved. So I'm okay with just kind of doing an overview sanding. Some people don't like sanding. I'm not like a huge fan of sanding. I actually have this special paint for some of my other craft stuff that helps me not have to sand it at all because it's bigger pieces. But I just do like a general sanding. I don't worry that much about it, especially when I'm planning to age something, because if the paint starts flaking off, that could even add to the effect. So I'm not super worried about it. And I do feel like this is a very delicate wood. I'm not sure if it's basswood. I'm not the biggest fan of basswood. I don't know if y'all know the difference. Basswood is that very foamy, let me make sure I'm saying the right way. Basswood is the very foamy wood. It's very lightweight. I feel like I've had a few miniatures that I've purchased with basswood and it broke rather easily. Sometimes it can be really easy to work with. It's really easy to cut. You don't have to have a lot of like woodworking stuff, but balsa wood, which is a little bit more expensive, is a little bit more like, it's a little harder, I guess I would say. And I think it stands up to wear and tear a little bit better. I don't know. I don't think it's just very light. So it could be a totally different kind of wood that I don't know about. But I'm kind of going back and forth between it being balsa wood or basswood. I'm not sure. So I typically choose, when I'm doing something with wood, my choice is going to be basswood or balsa wood. I wish they didn't both start with B because I keep getting mixed up. The non-foamy one is the one that's my choice. And that was since college. I've been working with like little miniature models and wood since college, doing models for architecture school. So I've had some experience working with all those different kinds of wood. All right, and some people prefer balsa. Now I'm totally mixed up. I can't even think. Some people prefer the more foamy wood. And that's fine. It's not my personal preference. Okay. I'm sure you're done with that annoying sound. How do you say that? Obeshi? Obeshi wood? I have not tried that wood. I have not actually heard of it, so I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't, Do they have that at craft stores? I have not heard of that. Okay, so now I'm just going to try and get some of the dust off of this guy. Dust off my mat. I find if I kind of dust as I go along, it doesn't become such a gross mess by the end. All right, so that one is sanded down. I'm just going to do a light sand on this one. This one has that shininess on it, but it's also still very rough. Let's see if y'all can hear. That's my finger against the wood grain. That's how rough it is. So I'm pretty sure whatever paint I put on here is going to stick. So I'm just going to rough it up just a little bit. Okay. Sorry if that's really horrible sounding. You can get it at on a popular selling site. Oh, okay. Well, I will look it up, and I may have to try it out. Lately, I've been doing miniatures more with paper than with anything else. Like, paper's kind of been my go-to, but it's because I kind of was getting frustrated with the wood. So if I find a wood that works for me a little bit better, that might work. So thank you, Judy. Ooh, that was a horrible sound. I'm sorry for that. Whew. All right, let me just do the top, trying to get through this part as fast as possible. All right, so that one should be good. The website that I've been getting my wood from, and I haven't gotten it from there in a while, but I do know they send me coupons every now and then, so I know they're still running, is called National Balsa. National Balsa, yeah. And they have some pretty good sites. You can get like the really tiny, detailed, thin pieces that you can get at Hobby Lobby, but you get a better deal. And so if you know you're going to be using it for a lot of miniatures, or like sometimes I use them for baseboards or headboards, crown molding. You can get them at a really, really good deal on National Balsa. I think that's correct. If I remember, when I post this, I'll put their website in the description because they have been a good company. And all their stuff has arrived. It hasn't been broken or anything. I've used that for years. Okay, we're almost done with the sanding. And I got to figure out what I want to start with. I think I'm going to start with the sink, because this guy is probably what's going to take most of my time today, because there's so many details I want to add and change. So let's get this guy going. This looks like it's been glued back together many, many times. I haven't actually looked at this in a while, or ever. But he's got some pretty hefty glued legs on here. So this was like a, this was also from that dollhouse that I purchased on Craigslist. So it may have been a child's toy, and just, there's also some pretty hefty glue in there. But we're gonna age it up, so I'm not worried about that. No one's gonna be looking under my butcher block, hopefully. No butcher block inspectors in my dollhouse. Okay. All right, so first thing with my sink, I'll put these off to the side. First thing with my sink is I don't have a drain, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be easy to add a drain, and it's just going to give it that little extra thing of detail. And then I want to put like a strainer or a drain cover, whatever you call that. Let me zoom in now. So I got my Dremel out. I think I should just be able to drill a hole and have a drain in my sink. So get all my little drill bits. I'm trying to think. I think probably the biggest one is going to be what I want here. If I can get this open. This guy is tough. Okay. This is my little Dremel stylus. I like this, but unfortunately they don't sell it anymore. It just sits on a little charger thing, and I can just pull it out and it's ready to go. So I wish they still sold this, because I would definitely tell y'all to get it. I mean, maybe you could get it on eBay or something, but I really like this tool. It's one of my favorite tools. All right, I'm gonna make it pretty long so I can, all right. Here we go. Might get a little bit loud. Wish me luck. Okay, I guess maybe I should mark where I'm gonna drill it at so I don't mess this up. No. Yeah, that'll work, I think. Okay, in the middle or off to the side, are we thinking? I'm thinking here for some reason. I'm thinking right there. That's just my gut instinct. I haven't looked up any of these old type of sinks. I'm just going with it. Should get a piece of dollhouse furniture and make it look better, like paint it, make it look old. That would be so cool. I'm kind of doing that today, although they may end up looking worse after I'm done with this. So we'll see. All right. All right, so we have a hole here. Can y'all see that? Quick and easy. I guess you could just paint like a black dot and then put like the drain cover over it, and that would probably give the same effect, but when it's so easy to just drill a hole, it's like, why not, right? Let me put this in the trash. All right, get the sawdust out there. We have a drain hole. And now I want to make this look like the sink is not made of wood, because I don't think, besides like a trough, there's ever been a sink made of wood. That doesn't make any sense. So I think I'm going to do a layer of white, get all the dust out of there that I can. And then if it's not looking super smooth, I may do a layer of wood glue and then paint it again. Lately, if you've seen my Iron Maiden video, you'll notice that I've been using wood glue on like everything recently. So hopefully it stands the test of time, because it's been really great to smooth out surfaces of stuff. So if it continues to do really well, it's a great tool to have a smooth surface. And my white is blocked up. All right, let me get a poking apparatus. All right, there we go. So what is the weather like where you guys are? I am in Texas, and I woke up to ice on the trees. And if you're not from Texas, you may not know that that's not really normal around here. I'm pretty sure about half the people who woke up and saw ice on the trees just went back to bed and said, no thank you. Because that happens. So I'm okay. I lived up in the north for 7 years, and so I'm okay with a little bit of ice. Doesn't worry me, but it's not that common in Texas, so some people just say nope and they go back to bed. I've definitely I'm not acclimated to it anymore, because I remember when I lived in Illinois, like it was no problem. You just put your coat, you put your shoes on, you have your earmuffs, and you just deal with it. You go out and you deal with it, because that was 5 months of your life. You're just going to be cold for 5 months of your life. Here, it's maybe, I don't know. It's been going on a long time here. I think people are getting like, I don't know, tired. Tired of it. Just because we're not used to it. We are not used to it. Alright, so I'm going to put a layer of white that does not look really good, but we're going to do a few coats. Virginia, 35 degrees, raining. Oh, it is good project weather. It was raining last night here. It's freezing cold. Schools got canceled. Cold and wet as usual. Well, everybody's cold together. At least I'm not sitting in Texas going, oh, it's a sunshiny, beautiful day. We're going to go have a picnic, because that wouldn't seem like it's very fair. But yep, it's cold and icy here too. So it is good project weather to just bundle up. I got my sweater here in case I get cold, because I was kind of cold to begin with, but I usually like I'm still new to streaming, so I still get a little bit nervous, and I usually work myself up, so I didn't figure that I would be too cold, but I got my sweater anyway, because it is kind of chilly in here. My husband likes it to be chilly, and I do not. Not my preference. All right, so I'm putting my first coat on. And I don't know if I'm going to go all the way to the edge. Sometimes you just have to decide these things as you go. So I don't think I'm going to be just happy with painting this just plain white. I was also thinking about using a little bit of crackle to make it look like the porcelain in the sink had cracked. So I may do that. But this may take a few layers. But since we have many miniatures to age here, it's going to be okay if we wait through some drying time, because I have plenty to do. Okay, so that's not a great coverage, but we're just going to let that dry for a few minutes. All right, the other thing I need to do is I need to repair this little pump handle. The pump still looks okay. It's got the little spigot, and I really don't know how the pump works, so I think all the parts are here except for the little, I think it's supposed to have a handle that comes out. I did not look this up previous to the stream, so we're just gonna guess, or I'm just gonna guess. Let me get let's see. Okay, I am going to repair it using some cardstock. This is some cardstock I used on something else, and I'm just going to try my best to cut a straight piece like so. All right, it's kind of straight, but I think I need to make it a little bit thinner to make this pump handle. I'm going to layer it up and then paint it black and then super glue it on. That's the plan. I also feel like paper's not as brittle as wood, and so sometimes I think, I don't know, I just have this, do y'all have gut feelings about craft materials? Because I feel like sometimes I do. I just have this feeling like the paper will last longer, especially if I layer it up and give it a good coat. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Does anyone else have gut feelings about craft materials? Or am I just strange? Could be. Okay, I think that's going to work. I'm going to fold it several times. So I already folded that part. I'm going to fold it in on itself and put glue just to give it some more layers. So, my husband just called me. I think he forgot that I was live streaming right now, but I found a nail in my tire this morning when I was dropping the kids off. Actually, my son found the nail in the tire this morning. I was dropping my kids off. So when I got home, I texted him and said, hey, there's a nail in the tire. Let me know what you want me to do about it. So, yeah, that's probably what he was calling me about. So I'll call him back in a bit. So luckily the tire pressure is not going down. So I think it's like plugging the hole currently. But yeah, it's never good to, keep a nail in your tire. Anyway, and it was pretty prominent. That's how my 4-year-old found it. He's like, look, Mom. Oh, nice. Okay, so right now it's about 3 layers thick. If y'all can see that. 3 layers thick. I'm gonna fold it one more time and glue it down so it can stay, so it can be 4 layers thick, and I think that should be good. I'm just gonna squish that down, and then I'm gonna cut off any of the extra. Okay. Scissors, there. All right, so I think I'm gonna bend it just slightly into kind of a shape like so. And so it's going to, should I have it go over a little bit? That would give it more stability when I glue it. I probably should have looked up a picture of what this is supposed to look like. Maybe it may not be broken at all. I may be making this up, but it looks, no, I think it's broken, but I don't know what it's supposed to look like. So, yeah, we're just gonna make it up. I am gonna glue it on before I paint it, because I think it'll be easier to paint once it's on there. So let me grab my super glue. Hold on. I try to get everything before I start because there's like a light stand and a door and all this stuff between me and my materials, and then I have to make awkward movements on camera to get my supplies. Okay, so this is Loctite super glue gel control. I like the gel stuff more than the liquid stuff because I can kind of, like the liquid stuff, you put it somewhere and it just kind of like goes, it like smooths out, but the gel is more chunky and kind of stays where you put it. So I prefer the gel. Can you all even see what I'm doing? I'm just gonna stick it on the top of here, and since it doesn't function, I'm not really worried about gluing anything together. I'm just going to be fixing the handle. Okay, let's get this on here. And I'm just gonna hold it for a second, try and hold it straight, and I am gonna put it over the top just a little bit. Have you ever used paper clay? Lots of recipes online, but it hasn't come up in my crafting lineup yet. It's supposed to be durable, sandable, cardboard. Anyone else use it? I actually just started using the paper clay you can buy in the, like in Hobby Lobby. I actually have it sitting here. Let me grab it while I'm holding this, because I used it for the face of my Iron Maiden. So it's the Creative Paper Clay, and this is a 16-ounce thing for $10, and of course you can use a coupon to take that down 40%, so you can get it for about $6. I really liked it. In fact, I have it sitting here because I am super excited to use it to sculpt something, but I have no idea what to sculpt, so if you have any thoughts along that, let me know. But I really enjoyed this. Another thing you can look up is Johnny Clay, Jonni. If you want to make it yourself, Johnny, I think it's Johnny Good. Her last name I think is Goode. Johnny Good. She makes her own, she calls it paper mache clay, and she shares the recipe online. I've used it to make several things. The only thing is that it's a bit chunkier because you're hand mixing it. This is very fine and you can get some great details. But if you're making something bigger, like I made some tree trunks with it, and because it was chunky, it actually added to the texture and worked fine for me. But look her up. You can also use, like if you have a big project, I would use the Johnny Clay, and then you can buy smaller amounts of this to put the smaller details on top, because I do think that they would work well together because they do kind of have the same feel to them. So I think they have very similar materials, but the paper clay that I bought from the store is machine made, so the clay quality is a little bit finer. So I don't know if that made sense or was helpful, but yeah, I just started working with the paper clay and I really liked it. I didn't sand it. You said something about sanding, but I did put wood glue over it and it made it very, very smooth. All right, so I think that guy's on there pretty good. Can y'all see that? I might even shape this a little bit more. Like so. Make it more of an industrial handle type look. And I'm gonna get some black and I'm gonna put the first coat on that guy. Cool, I'm glad that was helpful. What are you gonna make with it? Because I don't know why, and it has nothing to do with any of the projects I'm doing on YouTube right now. I really want to sculpt like a dragon or something fun. I don't know. But like I said, it doesn't have anything to do with my Addams Family Project, doesn't have anything to do with my coffee shop, and I'm trying to stay focused and get things done, but I really want to do a dragon or something. But we'll see. I could do a dragon if I was doing a Munster's house, because they had like a pet dragon or something that lived in the basement. It was the kid, what was the kid's name? Eddie Munster. It was his pet. So, and I do plan to do a Munster's house in the future, but I've got way too much Addams stuff still left on my plate, so that is going to take a while. But I do already have the characters, because they had like a toy special where they made all the characters. They're slightly bigger than 1/12 scale, but they're all supposed to be monsters, right? So if they're slightly bigger, should be okay. So I do have all the characters, I just don't have the house or anything for that. Okay, so here's the handle. I think it looks okay. I think it's gonna look like it was supposed to be there. So I'll probably put another coat on there after that dries. Looks like the white is getting there. Is it almost dry? No, still a little bit wet. Okay. So I like that. I have a collection of brown bag cookie molds. Paper ornament. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about making ornaments out of them, but that's a really good idea. I made ornaments out of salt dough. Oh my gosh, salt dough is so, it hurts your hands so bad because the salt is like sandpaper on your hand. So probably paper clay would be a better idea. Okay, I'm thinking while this continues to dry, I'll just put this off to the side. All right, let's focus on this table. All right, so this is going to be her main cooking table. So it's going to be really, really messy. I want to start by just putting some wash layers, and washes are acrylic paint mixed with water. So I always have this like little thing of water sitting next to me because I don't have a sink in my studio office, and so it's great just to have this. I can just pour a little bit of water and be ready to go. So I'm just going to add just a bit of black, and sometimes even that's too much. I can kind of test it. I think it's okay. Let's see. Maybe it's still a little bit too light. I'm not even going to put it in even layers because this dust is going to build up, dirt is going to build up, and so I'm not too worried about that. I could even go back and just put like daubs, get some more black from here, kind of let it go out like that, and then yeah, so just kind of play with it, kind of like you're watercoloring on top of a miniature. Can like it, make it go like that, or get a paper towel. If you feel like it's too much, dab it back up before it dries. Just trying to make a dirty surface. I also have some brown. It's good to don't just pick one color because different stains from different, I don't know, food items or dusts, or dust, or I don't know, things that end up on tables that don't get cleaned are going to have different shades and different tones. I lost my water. There it is. So I always like to put different paint colors on there. Don't just stick with one and go, oh, that looks good. Add some different colors because it will definitely add some depth and some interest to your aging. So you'll see me mixing a little bit of brown. So already, I don't know if y'all can see that on camera, but this is very, whoops, this is very black in this area, and then I'm starting to add some brown, so it'll definitely give some interest to the aging of the miniature. All right, so get that in there, spot it on. Definitely on the edges, you can go a little bit darker because the edges is where people touch with their hands, things get spilled from just being near the furniture. So I do a little bit extra on the edges a lot of the times. A lot of the time. My dog is barking. So just simple like that. It's fun to play around with. Another thing you can do is I have these little planter pots, and these are great for creating plants, but also you can make like little designs with them. So if I mix this up, like a pan got sat down and created a spot. So I just dip it in there. Oh, that didn't work. I think it needs to be a little bit drier. Hold on, let me dry it off a second. Okay. Let's try again. You can kind of play with it. There might be a pot that got set down and burned the table. Create different marks. Can y'all see that? Start light. I would always start light and then build up if you like how it looks. If you start straight away with just straight black paint, it's going to be hard to get off. What am I doing? Looking for my paintbrush. There it is. So I'm actually going to add a little bit more paint. I want it to be a little bit darker. So a little less water, a little more paint. And it's not helping that it's wet, but I'm trying to... Oh, there you go. You can see some of the look there. And then you can use different sides of the pots to make different size shapes. So you can use this guy. Oh, I got it too wet. It's a delicate balance between having too much paint, too much water. You just have to play with it until you figure it out. I don't even have it down, and I've done it several times. Just add more paint if you didn't like how it worked the first time. I just have one side of the pot that's working. So you can add stuff like that. You can also do the same thing with the brown. I'm still getting over a cold, so I'm trying not to clear my throat too much, but I also don't want to sound like a frog talking to you guys. But I have not had the flu, which seems like everybody else has had the flu, so I'm thankful for that. Very thankful. All right, so we can do some brown spots. Like so. So we definitely have a dirty work surface here. I'm gonna let it dry. I'm trying to make sure it's not warping it too much, which is, I'm okay with it if it warps a little bit. I'm going to let this dry just a little bit. I might add some more, but now I'm going to start dry brushing, which is another technique where you have hardly any water. And I'm going to do that to the sides of the table. Make sure nothing's like going to slide off. Okay. So I'm going to take, let me get a new paper towel. I'm going to put this underneath my tray here. So I'm going to get paint on here, and then I'm going to get a lot of it off. So, and then I'm just going to go like this on the edge. And very quickly, it's going to start making it look much older. And this is a good way to get stuff into the cracks as well. And then again, like I always say, start light so that you don't get to a point where you're like, oops, I put too much, because it's always easier to add than to take it off. Did I say that right? Yes, it's easier to add more than to take it off. See, I just put too much. I did it again. I'm not getting enough off my brush for some reason. Maybe because I didn't do the legs first that time. It's definitely a technique you gotta practice and decide what you like, what you don't like, and just do what you can. Okay. So get most of the paint off. But still, this brush is holding a lot of paint. Sometimes you can find a brush that works really well with this technique and others that don't. So that you can play with too. And you can always, if you get some on and you don't really like it, you can rub it back off. Like so. And then don't forget the inside. Not that anyone's looking, but I don't know. You never think, or I think down the road, I've passed away, someone has my miniatures, and they start turning them all over, and all of the undersides look pristine, and all the outsides look old. Just them going, what? I don't know. Things I think about are strange. So I try to get the inside and make sure I do a complete job, a 360-degree job. I'm also, like I said, adding some brown to give it some more depth so it doesn't just look like it's just painted black on everything. The black's not going to show, or the brown's not going to show up as much because it's a very brown miniature. But already you can see we've got a much older looking table. I had thought about putting like some gunk on here, like some 3D gunk, to look like it had kind of built up, but I'm actually not sure if I want to do that because I have miniatures that sit on the table. If there's a certain spot I want one to sit, I don't want it to be like tilted because there's like some grimy gunk on there. So I may not do that original plan. So make sure I get the edges of the table really good. That's where a lot of that build up from hand oils, skin oils, or people touching things builds up. Yep, always make sure you watch what you're doing on the top here, because sometimes I forget. Just get the edges, watch the top. This is not the greatest brush, is what I'm thinking, because it has been annoying me. It's not doing what I think it's gonna do. And I think it's because it's got extra long bristles. I don't know if you see that. I'm used to brushes that have the shorter bristles. And so I think it's just throwing me off. I could get another one, but I don't seem to be doing that for some reason. So we'll just finish this guy off. Get some more brown. Maybe on the bottom rungs. See that difference? I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but the difference between the brown and the black, it just gives a little bit more visual interest that these are different stains or different times that these happened. Just the different colors give it more interest. And I was thinking I could put a little bit of gray on here like dust, but I don't know. I kind of like how it's looking. Sometimes you got to stop. You got to stop when you like it and say no more, because I have ruined miniatures that way. I've gone too far and then not liked it. What do y'all think? More or less? I mean, it looks looking pretty old and beat up table. I may try and go back on top of these, at least one of these little stamps, to make it a little bit darker, a little bit more prominent, like so. And actually, I want to do this one in brown, so I'll get that off. Get some of this paint. Do you seal your distressed pieces? Yes. I definitely do when I sell them. Sometimes when I know I'm keeping them for myself, sometimes I get lazy and I don't, but what I use is I use matte clear enamel, or really, I don't know if it has to say enamel, but some kind of matte clear spray. I definitely want it matte, because if I do the gloss, it's the shine that I worked so hard to get off is going to show back up. And it has shine on the paint right now, but it'll go away. So definitely make sure you get something matte and clear. And I don't spray a ton of it on there. Just do it very lightly. When it's distressed like this, there's not anything super perfect that you're trying to protect. And all of this is acrylic paint, so it should not come off on your fingers. It should be pretty well permanently attached to it, but whenever I want that extra protection, especially for miniatures that I'm sending to somebody else, I use the matte clear spray. So, and you can find that at most craft stores. Okay, so let's see how our sink is doing. It looks pretty dry. And our handle's looking fairly dry. So here's what I'm thinking. I think I am going to try my wood glue process of putting wood glue in there to smooth out the edges, because if you can hear, it's very rough when I rub my hand on there, because it's made of wood. And if you paint something with acrylic paint, the wood particles are gonna go up and it's gonna become very rough. So I think I'm going to try and put some wood glue in there and spread it around and see if that will even it out. So let me get my wood glue open, or just break it completely. All right, so let's see if I can fix this. I just broke my wood glue bottle, but now I know I can open it all the way. Fantastic. All right, let me re-poke the hole. Ow, I think I cut my finger on the wood glue thing. I don't know if you can see that. Ouch. Be careful with your glue bottles, people. They're dangerous. All right, so I just took a poking tool and I just reopened the hole because some of the paint had kind of gotten in there, and I don't want to lose that. So here we go. This is an experiment. Never done this before. And I really only suggest doing this with wood glue. Tacky glue, I don't, well, I mean, y'all can experiment however you want to. See if you can see what I'm doing. I'm just putting it on the edges, smoothing it out the best that I can. I don't think tacky glue does the same type of drying process where it dries very hard, and I think it's because it's meant for wood. It does this, where tacky glue is meant more for paper type materials, sometimes fabric. So I definitely trust the wood glue to smooth out a little bit more. It just naturally kind of sets. I don't know if y'all can see that. Already it's kind of evening itself out. And so I just need to get it on the rest. And hopefully it will dry and make it look less like it's paint over wood. Not, you know, I don't know. There's probably not going to be anybody who looks in this sink. I'll probably put some dirty dishes in it, but it's the process of, I don't know what I'm going to put in the sink. So I want, if the sink at some point becomes something that is a focal point, I want it to look good. Just personal preference. And I'm getting wood glue everywhere. Everywhere. All right, there's probably an easier way to do this than with your finger, but you do what you gotta do. All right, so I've got it kind of covered. The wood glue actually ended up taking off some of the paint, so I'm not sure painting it first was necessary, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna do this process, so. I just did not like how the paint looked on there. All right, can y'all see how that's shiny and flat? It kind of gives it that ceramic look. That's what I'm going for. So hopefully that will dry quickly so I can show you the crackle effect. So we've been going for about an hour. Hopefully it will dry. Hi Leslie, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the stream. I was wondering if you were going to be able to make it, so I'm glad you did. I'm going to go turn the fan on and put this under the fan because I really want it to dry so that I can show you the crackle effect that I want to do in here. Let me put a little bit more wood glue in the bottom. There we go. My finger is still hurting from the wood glue. Not the glue itself, but the cap that broke on me. It's not cool. Okay, just a little bit more in the corner. You can always do several layers of this, so I probably won't because this is not a high focus point, but you know, if you don't like how the first layer turns out, you can always add another layer. So I'm gonna put this under the fan and let the fan go. Is that what I'm gonna do? Yes, and then I'm gonna work on this butcher block. So I'll be right back. Let me go turn the fan on. Now I'm gonna get really cold because I'm under the fan, but that's okay. And I'm not as sweaty and nervous about this stream as the ones I have been in the past. So I think that means I'm getting better at doing this, or more confident, or something like that. Okay, so for the butcher block, it's gonna be some of the same process, but I did bring, I need to plug in this mini iron because it gets very hot, especially if I put it, it has like different settings. If I put it on high, medium, or low, the high is very hot. I've already burned a hole through my craft mat because I forgot to put it back on this guy. So let me plug that in. And I was thinking about burning into the butcher block just a little bit. I don't know. Y'all can take bets on how many times I'm going to burn myself trying to do this, but we'll see. And this is a really great miniature iron. Somebody just recently on a video was asking me about it. It's called a Clover brand iron, and this is one of the newer ones. I recently just purchased it. It's a Needlecraft ink, and it's really great for curing glue really quickly. Like I was gluing two pieces of paper together and I ran the iron over it, and it cured that glue really quickly, so I didn't have to sit there and wait. But it can burn the paper depending on your setting, so just be careful with that. It's also good for putting folds into fabric. So yeah, I really like this iron, and the one that I ordered has lots of attachments, but neither, well, it's already getting hot, neither myself nor my husband can unscrew this thing to put the other attachments in. So until one of us gets stronger, I guess, I'm stuck with this end, which is a pretty good end. It does a lot of stuff. So I'm not too upset about that. So I'm gonna let that heat up. You gotta make sure that the light is green, because I forget that a lot. And this is not the switch. The switch is all the way down here. So anyway, just learning the process. Okay, so I'm gonna age this guy very similarly. I actually want to do a little bit more brown, and I'm gonna go get some red. I don't want to be grotesque or gory or anything, but this is a butcher block, and oftentimes they show cuts of meat in the Addams family, so I do want to put a little bit of reminiscent of what's probably been butchered on this butcher block. So I've already sanded it. I'm actually going to sand the top just because I still see some shine. I'm going to sand it just with the higher grit sandpaper than I did earlier, just so I can make sure that I'm getting my items. Plus, if it has been used several times, so you see this higher grit sandpaper actually puts marks into the wood. So if you're trying to keep something pristine, let's see what grit this is. It's not going to tell me. I don't know what it is, but it's a very high grit. So make sure you test it before you use whatever sandpaper you have to make sure it's not going to make marks like this if you don't want marks. I'm okay with it having some marks because it's supposed to be old. So I'm okay with that. This one I think just had a little bit more varnish than the table did, so it needs some extra. And you can still buff it out if you want to. You can take the smaller grade and just buff it out, and you can get some of that finish back. Although it looks like there's pretty deep level of whatever the finish they put on this guy. And get all the dust off. All right, I'm gonna go get a red paint to kind of create that effect. So that should take me just a second. Like I did before, so this is a alizarin crimson. Like I did before, I'm going to take a wash of like blacks and browns. You like to scale cut marks, like make them like within the scale of the miniature. I'm hoping that I can make these burn marks look cool, but I've never done it before, so it may look really bad, but we'll see. I'm also thinking that I'm going to take some of the side off, so be very careful if you want to do this process. I want to round out the edges because this is a very old butcher block, supposed to be, so I'm just going to carve off some of the edge. Can y'all see that? Because the edges of this wood would have chipped over the years from use, and so I'm just going to slowly take some of the edges off, like so, just to round it out. A lot of butcher blocks are, some of them like come apart wherever they're glued together. Especially if they've had a lot of liquids on them. I know because I had a really nice one and I messed it up because I put it in the dishwasher because I was young and I didn't know what I was doing. And my mom laughed at me. But I ruined my butcher block. So I'm a little bit smarter now. I'm also going to do that on the edges just to round that out. Here you can see a little bit better the glue globs from the previous owner of this miniature. I think just it may have had a hard life as a mini. I'm not sure. So we could round these out, just make them look a little bit more used. I can do that down here as well. On the edges, just wherever. And kind of use your own best judgment.
My parents go to grocery. My daddy was the butcher. Gouges in the center where he had cut for years in the same area. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Yeah, I just like I didn't look up the sink, I didn't look up what an old butcher block would look like. So yeah, I did not do my research before this stream. So thank you for input, because I'm kind of flying blind here. Let me get some of this wood shavings out of here. All right, I got to keep an eye on my iron because I'm so bad at just like pushing everything out of the center. I just go whoosh, and then my iron gets up against something and burns a hole. It's right next to my snack. I don't want to burn my snack. So I need like a snack specific area in my craft room so I don't get junk all over my food. Okay, so now our miniature has some rounded edges. The handles are a little bit more, look a little bit more used. And so now I'm going to start adding some washes of paint, just like we did on the table. So I think I'm going to use more browns because of if there had been some blood that had been on here, it probably would turn, I would think, more like a rusty color if it hadn't been like cleaned off properly or it had soaked into the wood. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm guessing. I'm going to put a little bit of black on there. But I'm just going to kind of go over because it's supposed to be very old butcher block. I'm not super happy about the glue globs. I maybe could have gone back and tried to take them off and re-glue them, but sometimes you just gotta go with what you got. There's like lots of things to do. I'm just taking a dry brush and just kind of smoothing out, if I can talk, smoothing out some of the globs of black I just put on there. You can see the water kind of mushing around. So what I'm doing, I don't know if I said this, but I'm trying to put some black paint over those glue globs so they just don't stand out. I don't want them to be like the focus. I'm trying to hide the repairs. All right. Now I'm going to do the legs. Hold on to the handles. Let's do some dry brush on the legs. That's not very dry brush. It's very, I just did not what I told you guys to do. I had a lot of liquid on my brush. Okay. Dry brush this guy. There's a lot of planes flying outside. Can y'all hear that? For some reason, some days there's more planes than other days. I have a friend who's a pilot, so I should ask him why. Why? And we're not really near the airport. Airport, well, I don't know. They sound like planes that are low to the ground. We don't really have like a lot of places that we need crop dusters. We're not that close to the airport, so I don't really know. And I keep hitting the mic with my brush, sorry. Okay, so now, am I even on screen here? I'm just smoothing out these blobs. Of course, no one's gonna see the bottom, but you heard my spiel before on why I do the bottom. Do some dry brush on this side. Okay, I think our iron should probably be about ready to make some deep cuts into this guy. And then I'm not gonna do the red until I've cut into it. So, all right, here's my experiment. Let me zoom in for you guys. All right, wish me luck. If we start a fire, I guess y'all can't really help me. So here we go. Let's see if we can burn. Oh, it looks like it's working. Well, that worked. That looks like a nice deep cut. All right. So I think I'm gonna make a few of these. Ooh, ooh, I can smell it's burning. Leslie, let me know if you think my cuts are looking somewhat accurate. Seems like they'd be mostly near the middle. I've never butchered anything before, so I don't really know. I can see the, I don't know if y'all can see. I don't want to get too close to the iron. There's like charged stuff on the edge of it. Let's see. All right, well that's actually working better than I thought it would. So I always love when that happens, when something works a little bit better than you thought it was gonna work. I don't want to do too many. Like I said before, should I burn the edges? I don't know. I'm kind of having fun with this now. Ah! See? I told you should have taken bets on how many times I'm gonna burn myself. I didn't get myself, but I'm being too crazy here. Trying to burn the edges. I want to burn my hand off. Okay. More cuts or leave it? What do y'all think? Probably more, I would think. Or maybe like smaller ones? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to overdo it, but I feel like there would definitely be more cuts on here if it was an old butcher block. There's probably a lot like going back and forth, I imagine. I don't want to, I'm not going to do all of them like as deep as the first ones. Smaller ones. Okay. That's what I was thinking. I wonder if I can use the tip of the iron. Ooh, I'm getting dangerous now. Y'all see how I'm holding it? All right. I'm just guessing. Oh, my smoke detector's like way over there, so I think we're good. Yeah, I think that's what Leslie said too, smaller ones. So I think, I don't know, would they go all the way out to the side? Okay. That's what we have so far. Let me, okay, find my iron stand so I don't burn through my mat again. Dust this off a little bit. Probably even more. I think I'm going to need some towards the edge because when I put miniatures on there, I want to be able to see the cuts. Okay, y'all like how it's looking? I think I like it too. So I'm going to put some more towards, maybe to one side. Like there's a side that she constantly kind of goes to. So she's a cook like me, she just kind of works in whatever area doesn't have dirty dishes. Anybody else do that? Okay. I'm just going to put them kind of to one side as well. Okay. I'm glad the burning worked. Yay. So I kind of figure it sits forward like this, so I could still put a miniature here and you'd still be able to see the cut marks and like the rounded off edges. Okay. Overall, just a few towards the edge. Yes, overall small ones. Okay. Let's see. I'll put a few on the other place. The other places look a little bit too clean. All right. We're almost done with the cutting, I think. And I can always go back and do more, I think. If, oh, I'm gonna put some on the edges. Ooh, I like that.
kind of in between where the wood, can y'all can't see me. Okay. In between where the wood meets each other. Because sometimes those places split. Let's see. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay. Ah! Fire totally freaks me out. Heat scares me a little bit. All this smoke smell. Woo! This is why I don't do metal miniatures. Because of like the soldering and stuff. Scares me, scares me, scares me. Alright. Okay, so there's like on the edges. I think I like that look. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do the one more edge here. Now I'll do the other side, and then we can do the red. I'm gonna have to be very like light-handed with the red because like I said, I do not want it to look bloody and gory. I'm definitely going more for like the 1960s TV show feel, even though I have a lot of stuff from the movie. Just the very like, we're creepy a little bit. It's okay. We're all still happy type of feeling. Because that's kind of me, I think. Creepy a little bit, but all still happy. It's okay. All right. The edges. I'm really liking this iron. I am very happy with my purchase. I just wish I could change the tool on the end. That would be helpful. I'm gonna do a couple cuts that go over the edge. Okay, I may be having a little bit too much fun with this. All right, what do y'all think? I think I'm liking that, especially on the edges. Okay, let's get some of the fried burnt pieces off. I think, yes. Yes. Okay, I'm very happy with that. All right, so now let me turn the iron off and make sure the light goes out so I do not burn myself. Okay, so far the record is 0 burns. So as long as it cools off before I forget and touch it, we'll stay at 0 burns. That's fantastic. Okay, let's get some red going on this guy. And I may mix, sorry for my nose. Okay. Hopefully I'll be well someday. That would be nice to get over this cold. But I don't know about in your neck of the woods, but the flu has been crazy here. My daughter had it before Christmas, so thankfully, well, she had one of the strains. There's like a billion strains apparently. So I'm very thankful that we got through that before Christmas, but I don't know. We haven't had anything since, just kind of colds and grossness. So actually, I'm going to take a drink real quick. Kind of help my throat. Okay. I'm not really sure what color I'm really wanting to mix here. Just kind of experimenting. I know I want a reddish, more like a reddish brown. So I definitely don't want it to look like fresh blood. That's not what I'm going for. Why did I get this brush again? This is the brush I was complaining about earlier. All right, we're gonna try this brush. And I'm gonna dry brush it, so I'm gonna tap some of it off and tap some of it into these cuts. I want it, I think I'm gonna add some more water. I think I wanna get them into the cuts and then I'm gonna wipe off because I want that color in there. I'm gonna wipe off the top. Nope, nope, that didn't work. I just wiped off all the color. Okay. Okay, so I have it in the side there. Can y'all see that color? Obviously, I'm not gonna let it be shiny because that's even kind of gorier because then it's fresh. We don't want anything fresh.
Take off some of the globs where I don't want it. And let that dry a little bit. It won't be shiny when it dries. Ooh, I feel my voice running out. Come on, voice. All right, so we have our table. Oh, let me put some on the side. I was about to be done, but I don't think I'm done. We have our table. Oh. Okay, my brain is failing, guys. My brain is failing. We're gonna put some on the edge, like so. Just a little bit of that red color. Do I want it to drip down? Maybe. Ooh, that was like purple. How'd I get a purple from red and brown? All right, let's try again. I need a little bit more red. Ooh, that's very bright. All right. Just drip some down a little bit. And let it dry, and then I can always make it a little bit darker. Drip down, drip down. If you have something that won't drip, just add more water. The water will add weight to your drop, and then it'll eventually go. Y'all can't even see what I'm doing because I'm not on camera. So that won't dry as bright. Come on, keep dripping. Drip, 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 drip. Take the, so just have some color going down on the edge, like so. That does look kind of gory. Does that look gory to you guys? What do you think? Too much gore or just enough? See, that's what it looked like before I touched it. Ah! That's what it looks like after. All right, let's do this side maybe with a little bit more brown, less red. More brown, less red. All right, got another drip going. That's definitely more of a brown color. Let's get some more water to help it drip. There we go. Put another couple drips. Some drips over here by the handle. Now it's dripping down my finger. Sorry, I'm apparently having a hard time staying on camera right now. All right, drip it down over here. Anyone think it looks too gross? That one's very red. That one's less red, more of a mauve. Can y'all even see? I feel like my light, my light. I'm hopefully getting new lights. The darker looks less fresh. Yes, I think I agree. That does look rather fresh. All right, let's see if we can darken up this side just a little bit. Darken it up. Okay. And the fun thing about this, I can always add more later, but butcher block is not the focus, so it's just like a little happy, interesting detail in the corner. So add a little drip over there. I think I'm not happy with these two drips, so I'm just gonna take one off. There you go. All right, I think I'm happy with that for now. That definitely looks more used than it did when I started. So stick that guy over here. I'm gonna check on my sink. This is interesting. It wrinkled in the bottom. Do I want to do another layer or just kind of go with it? It looks like the film you get on cheese dip when you leave it in the crock pot too long. I did not expect it to do that. I wonder if it like ran down the edges and did that. That's really strange. But it's still still wet, so I can't really do anything with it right now. Oh, maybe I can smooth it out. Let's see. I can smooth it out. That's cool. No, not really. I thought I could. Nope. Okay. Yeah, I think you're right, Leslie. I wonder if it will even out. I think I'm just gonna leave it, and then I can put an even, like a thinner layer on top of it. And if I don't get that done during the stream, I can do that later and kind of show you how it finished up looking. Because that looks like a mess. That is a mess. Okay, so let's age this guy. And I may end the stream after I age this guy by putting the little cloth in here. I don't think I'm going to get to aging this chair today. It is so fun to age upholstered stuff because you get to pull the insides out and cut up the fabric. So I want to make sure that I have enough time to do that properly for you guys. And I might make that another part of a coffee shop thing that goes on my coffee shop playlist. So I'm not going to get to this, but I do want to at least finish these 3 pieces for you. Okay. So I'm not going to touch the sink for now. I'm going to let that dry. We're going to do some of the same process for this. I actually do want to add gray to this guy because this is a wood piece. Probably this wood near the water is going to turn grayish because it's been dried out, that kind of stuff. Wood science. I don't know a lot about wood science. Probably should know more before I start talking about it. But I am going to put a layer of gray on here just because I feel like that's something that would turn very grayish as the wood kind of got wet and dried out. It would kind of lose its color and its luster. All right, so I'm just gonna mix some gray with some water and just lightly dust over it. There's another way you can turn wood gray, and it has something to do with like those wire sponges that you use to clean like pots and pans. You can put that in the water and then do the wood. I've never tried it. It is something that I want to do and do a video of because I want to use it for some of the wood details on the outside of the Addams house. So I will be trying it out and posting it if it's something that you're interested in because I really want to try it out. I think it would be really cool if it works. So over here I want to make sure it's good and gray. Lots of water spots from where it's just splashed up and out of the sink. I do think I want to carve a little on this piece too. It looks just a little bit too happy and new. You all see what I'm doing? May drive someone crazy because it's such a nice miniature, but it just looks a little too crisp on the edges. Not for something that's going to be in a kitchen that's years old. Especially in a basement, like a deep, dark, gross basement. I wouldn't say it's gross. I used to have a basement where I lived. Did y'all ever have a basement? Y'all have a basement? Ours was finished. And it was really nice. It's where we hung out when we were kids. That was like, we had a TV set up there. We had like all these chairs and they looked like talk show chairs. And that's where we had all our sleepovers. And it was fun. And my parents were like 2 stories away from us because there was the first floor and then they were on the second floor. And so they couldn't hear us at all. So we kind of felt like we had the reign of the place.
think I'm also going to do a little bit on the inside of the sink here. Probably should have done this before I tried to do anything else, but oh well. It's never too late to mess something up. Whew. That's why I like aging. A bonus room over the garage. That's awesome. When I was a teenager, I really wanted to have like a separated room because I felt all old and independent. But my sister, who's years younger than me, she actually got the basement room because we turned part of the basement into a basement room. I didn't think that was fair, but that's okay. That is okay. She was sharing with my other sister, so it probably was fair because I already had my own room and she wanted her own room. So kudos to my parents for making a fair decision, even if I didn't think it was fair. At the time, I probably would have made the same decision. All right, so we're gonna, I cut that one a little bit too deep. That's okay. Just kind of pull it off. That one got really banged by a pot or something. Ooh, okay. I didn't get burned. I was also trying to not get cut. Both important things. So I already injured myself with the cap to the glue. Somehow. Of all the things I knew I was going to do today, I did not think I'd get injured by the cap to the glue. Okay. Almost there. A few more bits. Now I could go and round out all these little pieces. That's going to take like a really long time. That's the kind of detail that you can do. I'm okay not doing it. Because like I said, this is not going to be a focal piece. It's just one of the pieces. I like to spend a little bit more time on those focal pieces that mean something, like Lurch's organ that he plays. Like I'm going to spend a lot more time on that because it's an iconic piece. But this isn't an iconic sink. No one's going to look at it and go, that's Grandmama's sink, because I don't know what her sink looks like. I'm just picking a sink that I like for the scene. So I'm not going to spend, you know, just hours and hours on the details for that. I'd rather use it for other parts that I feel help the project along, that are more iconic to the characters. Okay. So I was doing gray before I got distracted. All right, back to the gray. Put a little bit more gray. Mix a little bit more wash here. I need to go back over the places where I just cut the wood because it looks like fresh wood there. We don't need any freshness in the basement. All right, get some more these water spots going over here. Okay, I'm just going to do a wash down the front. This is a very relaxing thing to do while you're watching an old movie, like some kind of old like Alfred Hitchcock movie or something. Just sit and age miniatures. You can get a lot of inspiration from things like that. I like Alfred Hitchcock. Anybody else like Alfred Hitchcock? He was a little bit before my time, but my mom is like the hugest Alfred Hitchcock fan, so we watched his show all the time. We watched The Twilight Zone. We watched all sorts of stuff like that, so very much familiar with those shows. I actually watched The Twilight Zone when I was pregnant with my daughter, so I always think about my daughter whenever, but not that she ever watched it, but I watched them a lot. All right, so I don't know if y'all can see that. It's just starting to add a little, like it looks like a little bit of gray to the outside, like it's older wood that's been mildewed and just kind of ruined by the constant water. All right, here we go. Almost out of this part. Oops, I just stuck it straight in the straight paint, not my wash. All right, did anybody watch my draping fabric video? Because I'm gonna try and drape the fabric for the front of this, and if you didn't, it's kind of a good step-by-step process of just how I do it. A lot of people have used starch. I've never used starch because I just generally use what I have, and I've just never had starch. We don't really even have an iron that works all that well, so we just wear wrinkly clothes. That's okay with us. We're okay with some wrinkly clothes, or we just spin it in the dryer for a couple minutes. So I don't have starch, but I use more like tacky glue, so that's what I'm going to be using when I do that part. I'm going to put a little bit of this black wash back here because this is obviously where the dirt is going to collect, back in this corner. I'm going to put it at the edges of the sink because that's where dirt collects as well, kind of along the edges. And then again on the edge of the miniature. It's where the skin oils will collect, or things from dirty clothes leaning up against the sink working. I can also add some like circle designs to this because obviously this is where they're going to stack some dishes that need to be done. So let me get one of those guys. Can do a stack. No, need more paint. Bring on the paint. Make it look like they put some dishes there. Just do a brown one. So now it's going to look a little bit more like the table, like stuff has been stacked on it. That may be a little extreme. If you want it to be less noticeable, you can always kind of get some of it off, preferably with a paintbrush, not your finger, because then you're gonna mess it up like I did. So there you go. That's kind of a way you can get some stuff off if you put it down, you didn't really like it. So we've got a couple of stains on there. All right, so one other thing, I may not do the whole thing. What time is it? I've got about 30 minutes. I would make like dirt, make it really a watered down wash, and have it go in between these rungs, dripping down like so. Oh, y'all can't see. I'll do it again. So I got a lot of like a very watery wash, and I'm just going to let it drip down the side of these individual rungs, and it's going to not only add definition to the detail of having the rungs on there, but it's also going to, you know, look like the dirt has built up in this area. And then also I want to add a lot down here because obviously the dirt's going to fall and get stuck here at the bottom. So. Twilight Zone still freaks me out. Yeah, there was one, I haven't thought about it in a long time, that it was like a very mature one, like very mature themes. Like I think, I don't remember. It freaked me out. Like there had not been one that had freaked me out in a long time, and I could not stop thinking about it. And eventually I just had to talk to my mom about it because I was like, I can't get this out of my head. So we talked through it, but every now and then, like most of them I was like, oh, that was interesting, kind of creepy. But every now and then there's one that's like, whoa, that was really dark. Okay, so I don't know if you can see at the bottom, like I've put some paint in there. I want to build up that dirt look at the bottom. I can add in some more brown, like so. Just kind of build it up because it's going to have a lot of stuff sitting next to it. The dirt's going to collect Put some black on this cut here just to kind of accentuate it. You can put some color on where you've cut stuff. Kind of helps show off where you've done a little extra details. Okay, what time is it? Okay, one more side. I'm just gonna drip the paint down on here, and then we're gonna get to the fabric for under the sink. And then I will finish the sink later because I do want to do my crackle effect just because I want to try it. I don't know if it'll work, but sometimes you get these ideas, or I do. I get these ideas and I'm like, I just have to see if that's going to work. I don't know if it'll work. I just have to see. Okay. Y'all are just going to have to yell at me when I get off camera. So I'm trying to be zoomed in enough for you to see, but I'm so bad at checking. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so we got, that one's a little bit more heavy on the black. That's okay. Let's put some brown in there. This is the side you won't see. That's the side you will see, which I'm a little happier with that side. I'm okay with more of the subtlety. So, one that got me may have been Hitchcock series show. Do you remember those in the 80s? I'm not sure which decade of Hitchcock I watched. I don't actually know a lot about him. I just remember watching the shows with my mom. And it was one, I'm trying to think, there was like someone in a closet. It was something with a closet, and the closet just really, like, I had a hard time with closets for a while after that because it had something to do with someone in a closet doing something. It was creepy. So, like, I couldn't open my closet without thinking about it, put stuff in my closet. Like, it was just not good. Or maybe it was a basement. It was some kind of door they opened, and something really scary happened after the door opened. And that just was not good. Not good for my brain at the time. Okay, so what I did here is I just used my thumb and I just dotted in the wet paint, and it kind of makes like a splotchy effect. All right, so here's our sink so far. It's actually not as wrinkly anymore, so maybe the bottom, I'm gonna ruin it by doing that. I can get some tweezers to get that part out. So maybe the bottom of the glue is drying. I may not have to do another layer, which would be totally fine with me. Okay, I got that piece out. All right, so here's what we got so far. I actually kind of like the yellowy look. What do y'all think? I like the yellowy effect. I may have to I am going to paint it because I want to try the crackle thing, but I may have to repaint it that yellow because I really like how it looks against the wood. So, all right, so I'm going to lay this down. I didn't do any aging on the back, but I can always do that later. I'll lay this guy down because I need to put some fabric in here, like it got pulled to the side. Shows were current at the time, and this guy was going to put himself in a coffin with a dead guy, and then another guy would dig him up, and he did it and waited for the guy to dig him up. Ooh, that would be scary too. I mean, I'm all for the creep, but I'm not going in a coffin. I did watch a soap opera one time. The only time I've ever watched a soap opera, I came home from school early, and I was just waiting for anybody else to get home. And so I would watch this soap opera, and I can't remember the name of it. But there was this woman, the first time I watched it, this woman, she was buried alive. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just watch it until she gets out of the coffin. Like, until someone rescues her. I want to see what happens. It took 3 weeks for this soap opera to get this woman out of the coffin. And it was like a span of like 30 minutes or 3 hours or whatever it was that she had air in the coffin. It took 3 weeks. I had to watch that soap opera for 3 weeks to find out what happened to that lady. I'm still kind of bitter about it because I didn't want to know any of the other stuff. I just wanted to know what happened to her. So she did get out. The guy finally lit a lighter, and the guy who was supposed to dig him up was the dead guy. Oh my gosh. I don't think I saw that one. That's really bad news. Okay. Excuse me. I gotta pull out some fabric for the curtains. I need some like old fabric that would go under there. Some vintage looking stuff. Welcome back, sea turtles. We got through the aging process of these guys, and I will post it again on Friday, so if you want to catch anything. And then we burned these cut marks into this chopping block and made it look super old, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. So make sure to catch it on Friday if you want to catch up with what we did. But now I'm trying to get fabric to go in here. This is the little sink area, so I want like something that looks like it's been like pulled back, and there's gonna be like little supplies in here or like little extras for the kitchen. So I'm just pulling out fabric that I think might work out of my gigantic fabric thing that's about to break. Sorry for the yell there. All right, let's just pull it out. All right, this is very kitchen-y, but not Addams-y. I don't think that's gonna work. I'm very, very blessed because I have a mother-in-law who quilts, so I get to have all her small prints. She saves all her small print scraps for me. But I do end up having a lot of extra fabric, which is not a bad thing, but do have to kind of keep up with it. All right, let's see. Here's some choices. The green fabric looks like the 40s. This one. Let's see. Is this the green one you're talking about? I don't know if I want something dark. Like, I don't really want it to stand out, so maybe like a darker gray-ish color. Let's see what else I can find. I mean, I'm okay with it being flowery because I imagine whatever it is probably started out looking nice, and you know, the Addamses just do their thing. The plaid is awesome. Picks up the wood tones, would grunge well. Yes, I think I did like the plaid when I pulled it out. Let's see if I have a darker plaid. I have one with bumblebees. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think I have a darker plaid. Ooh. I do have this, which is very, I don't think that would make very good wrinkles. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. Let's put that back. I don't think I have a darker plaid. It's kind of that small print. Oh, I do have a different green. All right, I need to just go through this craziness. Oh, no, I already pulled that one out. I must like that one if I wanted to pull it out twice. Okay, put this guy down. Oh, okay. It would be darker for the Addams Family too, though. Okay. All right, so let's put some of these in here. We have that one. I think that one would work okay. I think this one would also work well. I'm gonna look at the colors. I have like lots of copper things in there, so I'm thinking maybe something yellowy would work good too. I'm about to just dump everything in my paint. Okay, let's move that. Okay. I'm bad at making decisions on the spot. There's that one. Okay. All right. In anybody who's here, you get to vote. Because these, I like all 4 of these equally, I think. So, A, B, C, D. Vote which one you want, you think. A, B, C, D. I like all of them. Let's see. I think any of them would look pretty good with the wood color. So we have a vote for B. So that's this one. I'm gonna take a drink while I wait. Oh, like a lot of people like B. Okay. We have a vote for C. Are they flowery people? I wouldn't call them flowery people, but they definitely have like flowery wallpapers, and the Addamses, they just kind of go with like the normal decor of the time and then like add their own stuff on top of it. Okay, looks like it's resoundingly B. We just had one vote for C, which I also like, but I think we're gonna go with B. This was B, right? I think this was B. Okay, so if you watched my draping tutorial, I made this little A-frame, and this is the way that I'm going to make the piece that goes in here, because it's going to be very difficult to actually glue it in here and then form it. So I need to cut it to the shape, and I'm gonna go get my little mixing tub to mix the water and the glue, and I'll be right back. Y'all can't see, but this is mess, light stand, mess cabinet. So yay, just so y'all don't think this is all organized. I don't want to put on a false front here. Okay, I'm going to, this is my water, just like I did in my draping tutorial. I'm going to add my tacky glue. It's gonna make some weird noises until it's like a milk consistency. If I can talk, this is why I can only stream for about 2 hours, because my ability to talk slowly fades. I don't know why. My poor classes at the end of the day when I teach, like, Miss Bentley, you're not making any sense. That's true. Alright, so I'm getting a milky consistency here. It takes a little bit to mix it up. Y'all get to see real-time draping fabric technique. Oh, there's a big blob of glue over here. Should probably always have cameras going when I'm crafting. I'll see all of the stuff that I miss. Okay. That's probably a good consistency where it starts to just look like skim milk. You know you have enough glue in there, but it's still mostly water. Okay. So I'm going to cut a piece that, let's see, I want it to, okay, I'm just going to cut a square, not being super exact, because it's going to be all crumpled up, so I'm not using straight edges or anything. I'm going to kind of stuff it up in here. See how long it needs to be. So probably to about right there. And once it's dry, I can always cut a little bit more off. I always want to make it a little bit longer than I think I'm gonna need it, just so it's not too small after I get done with everything. Okay, so I think yeah, I'll just have to cut off the top so that it hangs straight down. Okay, so I'm going to use this little A-frame here, and it's just foam board that I folded over and put some masking tape on. I'm going to use some aluminum foil to keep my foam board from, hold on. I'm using aluminum foil to keep my foam board from absorbing the water, because then it just warps, and then I'm not sure that the underneath of the fabric got dry. I'm just going to cover that up. And this is a great way to use extra little pieces of foam board that you don't know what you're going to do with, because crafters always got foam board around. Okay, so now, just like in my tutorial I did online, or in my video, I'm just going to dunk this whole thing in there. And the other thing I have is, sorry if that was really loud, just leaned into my microphone. These little pins, and this is what I'm going to pin it to the foam board. That's another reason I use foam board, because I can like stick stuff in there. All right, put this back. All right, so I'm just going to dunk it in there, make sure the whole thing gets nice and covered in the gluey stuff. And like I said a while ago, some people use starch. I don't really have any experience with starch, but I don't know, this works for me. I like the results, and I just always have tacky glue, so I don't have to worry about, oh, do I have any starch? I don't have to go out and get another supply. Okay, this actually, I did not mix it enough, so I've got little drops of glue on there, so I highly suggest mixing it thoroughly as you can. Get a paper towel. All right, to start this, I'm going to get a pin, and I'm just going to pin up one side. Sorry if the aluminum foil gets reflective. I'm just going to pin one side, like so. And then I'm going to start gathering it up. Y'all see that? And then I'm going to put a pin whenever I'm happy with a gather. Like that. Can y'all see? Okay, and then I'm just going to keep going. And sometimes it'll lay flat, but the pins just are extra insurance to make sure it's going to stay where I want it to stay. And you can make drapes this way too. This is an easy way to make drapes. Pin this guy. Pin here. I haven't poked myself yet. That's good. And then this last edge right here, I'm just going to tuck it under. I'm not going to hem it or anything because I'm not that worried about it. But I can tuck it under just to kind of give it a little bit more of a finished edge. Like this is an old, like I'm aging this miniature, so I'm not super worried about it. But if you are worried about it and you're doing something more finished, you can just tuck that final edge under there, and as it dries, it will just stay there. Now I do want it to be gathered up, like it's been opened. So let's see, I kind of want it gathered up about halfway. So I'm going to lift it up this way. You'll see I'm gathering it to the side, and later on I can put a pin in there, or not a pin. I can put some like embroidery thread. See, I can't talk anymore. I can put some embroidery thread in there to continue to make it look like it's been gathered up and just tied up so it's out of her way. But for now, I'm just gonna put it like so, and then I'm gonna put any other pins that I want just to make sure everything. And if you're holding it like me, just make sure you don't, see if I can turn it so it's not glaringly bright. So you don't stick a pin in your finger, because that's what I just did. And then you can always frill out the bottom a little bit if you would like to. I'm probably going to cut off the bottom just a little bit because it's a little bit long. And just, again, put a pin where you want it to stay. So there you go. That's a simple way to put a piece of fabric. So when it dries, I will put it in on this side, and it will just kind of glue on the inside and become part of that miniature. And I will age it after it's dried, because I want the aging to kind of go in between the folds, and I don't want to age it beforehand, because if I do a lot of aging in one spot and that's inside of a fold, that's kind of wasted work. So I'm going to wait until this is dried to age it, and I will do that later because we don't have time to wait for it to dry. So here are the things that I will be adding on when I post this on Friday. So if you've been following along, or if this is a project that you're really interested in, I will show you how I finish up the sink. I'm going to probably do some crackle paint to make it look like the inside of the sink has started to crack. The porcelain has started to mess up. It's still looking interesting. I think because I laid it down on its side, it's like gathering on one edge. But I will show you how I finish up the sink, and I will also show you how I insert this into the bottom and age it. So those are the things that you can check up on. Here's our final pieces. We've got our sink, got our table, and we've got our butcher block with our little miniature slices. Those were so fun to make, so I'm really happy that worked out. And what else? Oh yeah, and I will do this chair at a later time, because it is a whole different thing to age and make a chair look really, really old. So that will be a fun other time. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Leslie. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you for talking with me. It always makes this 2 hours fly by when people are talking with me, and I don't just have to talk to myself. So I definitely appreciate you guys being here. Stay tuned for Friday, and I will see you in my next stream, which will be, let's see, what is this month? February. So it will be in March 7th. Isn't this the 7th? No. Yes, today is the 7th. So it'll be the 7th again next month, because that's a Wednesday also. So March 7th will be our next stream, and I don't know what I'll be doing, but as always, you can look for the announcement, and it will kind of give you a hint as to what I'll be doing and supplies if you want to join along. So I hope you guys have an amazing week, an amazing month, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody. All right, I'm back to finish off this desk project. I'm back to finish off the sink project. I want to make sure that I finish that so you can see what my final vision of what I want it to look like is, and you can see all the steps. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to start the process of making the sink crackle. As you can see, now that it's dried, it's very flat. So I know earlier I showed you that it was wrinkled, but letting it dry completely, it flattened out. And I now have kind of a very smooth bottom of my sink, which will definitely be more believable as a porcelain sink than as, you know, than before where it just was like wood. I think I'm going to make my cracks in the sink a brownish black color. I've kind of been putting brown and black on everything, so might as well. And I'm going to paint that first because then I want the final color to be a yellowish white. And if you've seen any of my other live streams, you know that there's a definite order you need to put the crackle medium and the paint on. So, oops, that was a little bit too much black, but that's okay. Sorry about it. I am going to mix this together and get ready to paint around the bottom of my sink, anywhere I think I really want some of those cracks to show up. I'm gonna grab some of my brown black color, which is actually probably mostly black, and I definitely want a lot of my cracks to be near where the drain is. That's probably where a lot of, if there was any impact in the sink, it's gonna happen around there. I'm gonna put some in the corners. I don't really know if it's gonna crack all that much in the corners, but just in case, I wanna be covered. And I might put a little bit on this side because you're gonna be able to see kind of the back of the sink more than anything else. And okay, there we go. Probably gonna put some black in the drain hole there. So this is just my very not well done but easy layer of black, and then I can put my crackle on top of it once it dries. This is the crackle medium that I always use. It's the Folk Art brand. This is the only brand I've ever used. I really understand how it works, so this is just what I'm comfortable with, but there are other brands out there. First, you need to put on the color that you want to show through the cracks. Then you put the crackle medium on, and then your final color that you want to actually make the physical cracks. So I'm just going to get my brush. I've made sure that my black layer has dried before I put this crackle medium on. And I'm going to paint from the drain out. I want it to kind of be radial cracks. See if I can move this in here. Radial cracks. I've never really tried this before, so we'll just see how it goes. So I'm just going to put this crackle medium on from the drain out, and you can see it because it shines. If it's shining, it means you put the crackle medium. Even when it dries, it shines. So it's kind of a good way to know where you put it because it's clear, so otherwise it's hard to see. I'm going to paint outward from the drain. So hopefully the cracks radiate out from the drain. I don't know if it's going to work. We'll have to wait and see. And I'm going to do some crackle up the wall, this backsplash here. Keep almost putting it in the black. And then I'm going to do crackle up this wall and in the corners. I almost did black again. It's so tempting. The crackle's clear, so it's hard to keep track of where it's at. Crackle up this wall. Crackle. Crackle, crackle everywhere. Okay, now I need my crackle to dry completely before I can put the final layer. You can see where it's shining. It's on all the black spots. I need to make sure that dries completely. So while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and put in my little piece of fabric that we made earlier. It's dry, so I can go ahead and take the pins out. Let me find the pin box so I don't lose these. I'm going to take my pins out. These are just helping hold it in place. Nothing special, just normal sewing pins. Okay. Once I have all of those taken out, I should be able to just gently and carefully remove it from the aluminum foil, which was protecting. Okay, some of the aluminum foil is coming off. That's okay, I can peel it off. It is okay. There was a little bit more glue in this mixture than I wanted, so it is holding tight and fast to the aluminum foil. All right, so now that I have that all off, I can kind of fit it into my miniature and see how I like the look. There was a little crevice in there that it fit in nicely, or that I thought it would fit in nicely. We shall see. Just want to make sure that these ends are flattened out and that I get it in there evenly. I'm going to tuck that back there. Okay, so here's what it's looking like. Obviously I need to put something right here so it looks like it's been pulled back, and I need to cut off the bottom, but I think it's going to look nice inside there, kind of pulled to the side. So let me cut the bottom off where I think, oh, actually that kind of goes up in there. I may not need to cut the bottom off because it fits all the way up in there. Look at that. Oh, that works out nicely because I really don't want to cut the bottom off. I kind of like the ragged edges, so I actually do want to leave that part. So I just need to put a string around here and it will be ready to install. Okay, I've decided I'm going to go with some black. It kind of stands out, but I'm going to age this part anyway, so I don't think it's going to stand out that much. Plus, it's what I can find, so sometimes it's late at night and you just got to go with what you got. So I'm just going to put a dollop of glue on the back of this to keep the string in place. I don't actually have to tie it because no one's going to, sorry about that, no one's going to see that part. Put a little dollop of glue to hold the strings. Let that dry. I got most of the aluminum foil off. Sorry, y'all didn't see me put the glue on. Just put it right there. Oh, and try not to mess with it while it's drying. I forget that. All right, so now we're gonna kind of shove it back up in there. Try to get it back in that sweet spot. There we go. And I am going to, I thought I was going to use hot glue, but because I want to make sure that I have enough room to kind of play with it and position it, no, I think I'm going to go ahead and hot glue it on the back up here so I know that that's secure. And then I might play with a different idea on the bottom. But for right now, I'm just going to put in some hot glue there. Make sure it's getting in there. Okay. Hot glue strings forever, forever. Okay, so the hot glue is up underneath here, holding it to the underside of the sink. And then I think I'm just going to glue this very edge right here carefully. So I'm going to let that dry for another second. Okay. Now I can put this other, like a glob over here. Glue it over here to the side so that it's secure. All right, and now I have installed the fabric for the sink. Now I need to age it. It is looking a little bit too brand new. So I'm gonna get some glue out of the way. Ooh, that's gross. Get some more water and water down and make a wash like a normal, like I always do. Put a little bit of this brown black or very, very black. And I'm gonna start putting it onto our very worn piece of fabric here. I'm just gonna let that soak in I mean, this piece of fabric's probably been under this sink for years and years and years. So it is going to be a very dirty piece of fabric. Pull that string down just a little bit because I want it to kind of lay with the fabric. Now I'm going to get some darker black paint. Just kind of dry brush on the edges here. Give it a little bit more detail. Definitely put a lot more down here at the bottom, where it's been brushing the edges of the dirty, dusty floor. Definitely some more over here on the side. Whoops. And then I'll make this inside piece nearly black. And if you slip and mess up, you just kind of rub it in. Definitely a little darker up here. Ooh, that's very dark. That's very dark, but I kind of like it. This is one gross piece of fabric, guys. All right, so we still just have basically a little hint of the fabric pattern down here, but yeah, if there was ever a piece of fabric that was hanging underneath a sink for years, I think it would be this one. Just trying to get any last bright shiny bits. Don't want any nice new looking stuff under there. Okay, so there's our sink fabric that's been under there for years and years. Let's check on our crackle, see if it's dried. Okay, it needs just a little bit longer, so I'm gonna go ahead and make the drain cover because I need to make that while that crackle dries just a little bit longer. It is very important that that crackle gets dry all the way before I put the top coat on. So I'm gonna make the drain. Okay, I'm gonna take some of this cardstock I used earlier and I'm just gonna chomp out a circle and find it. There it is. That's just a normal hole punch, office hole punch that you can get anywhere. And I'm actually going to use my foam board from earlier. And I am going to stick it on the foam board. Can y'all see that? Hold on. Let's stick it on the aluminum foil. Oh, that's not really that much better. Here, let's put it on masking tape. Now we can see it. Okay, I'm gonna get a little pokey tool. Just anything with a sharp end. And I'm just gonna start making some holes in this guy. And that's gonna make my drain. All right, so I'm just gonna keep it simple because I don't want to just completely destroy the integrity of my paper here. This pokey tool has kind of a rounded end, so I am gonna just kind of rub it on there, and it just kind of pulls the edges up just a little bit. Now I'm going to do a layer of black black paint before I put the silver on, because I do want to do a silver finish to this. So let me get my black paint on there. I may need to re-poke my holes, but that's okay. So let's pull it out of there. There it is. Let's flip it over. I don't even see the holes. They're missing. You could probably even poke the holes after you paint it if you wanted to. That might work better. So I've repoked some of the holes in the black, and I'm going to use my silver. I'm also going to put just a tad bit of silver on the edges of this handle because there is some silver detail on the pump already, so I want to make sure I match the handle with that. So I'm going to do both of those things with the silver. And I don't need a lot because I already have the black base coat. Most metallic silvers that you buy are very clear, and so you do need to put a base coat down or you're just going to get very frustrated. You can do a gray if you want a really light silver, or a black if you want a very like darker silver, more of a dark metal look. So I'm just going to kind of do the edges on here. Not a lot, not a lot, just to give it that little metal shimmer you need. All right, so just a little bit of metal shimmer. So now it matches the base just a little bit more. It's more convincing. Okay, and now I need to put the silver onto the drain cover. And the holes show up even more now. I'll put it on both sides. Why not? Because it flipped over. This is what the little drain cover looks like. So after I put the crackle in and the final coat, I can just stick this guy into the sink on top of where I drilled the hole. You may not even be able to see the hole, but you know, I know it's there. I know the detail is there, right? It's not wasted time. No, it's not. Okay, so my crackle coat has dried mostly, I think. It's a little hard to tell, but I'm just gonna go for it because I'm ready for bed, guys. Have you ever just wanted to finish project because you're ready for bed? That's where I'm at. Okay. Let me get a different brush. Wish me luck. Here we go. I'm going to try and show you this as much as I can so you can see the crackling, if it works. And I'm trying to brush towards or away from the drain because that's where I want it to crack. That's the direction I want it to crack. So we'll see if that has any effect at all. Let me get the edges. All right, I'm gonna let that dry and work its magic for just a couple minutes. And then I think I'm gonna put a coat of Mod Podge over it. I think that will help protect it and give it just a little bit of shine that I need to help convince that it's a sink, a porcelain sink. Here's what the final crackle looks like. I think it did kind of work going radially from the drain. But I'm pretty happy with that. I like it. So I'm gonna crack open a brand new bottle of Mod Podge for you guys. Just ran out and got some more with a coupon, even better. Okay, so this is the matte Mod Podge, and if it wasn't so full, I'd turn it so you could see it, but just believe me, it's the matte Mod Podge, because that's really all I buy, because even though it's matte, it still has a shine. So I really can't imagine the shine on the glossy stuff. So I'm just going to put a layer over it. Like I said, this is going to help give that illusion of porcelain, I'm hoping, just because it has that little bit of shine on it. And it's going to help protect my cracking, because I am actually going to add just a little bit more aging inside the sink. I just can't help myself. It's what I do. Y'all can't even see. You don't want to see the Mod Podge, you want to see the sink. Get it together, Ara. Get it together. Okay, while the Mod Podge is wet, and I'm going to add just a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and stick down this drain cover, because Mod Podge can work as a glue. And I get my tweezers. So here's the drain cover. I'm just going to stick him down right there and get him stuck in. So there we go. The Mod Podge is still drying. I'll show you when it's dry, and then I'm just going to add a few drips and stains, and then we're done. So, yay! Woohoo! Okay, so the sink is fairly dry. I'm just going to add a bit more aging to the inside, because of course the sink would be pretty dirty. Some stuff going to the center. It's going to be rings around the sink. So I'm just going to kind of dirty it up, put some little spots in there. Got to match the rest of the sink, of course. Get everything to kind of go into the drain. It'll probably dry a little bit lighter than that. I do want to put like a little light wash in some places. It was just kind of sloshing around in there. That's okay. All right. I don't want to do too much. There probably will be, like I said, some dirty dishes in there. So some of this will be covered up. But I do definitely want to make it match the look that I'm going for. And I will put some on the front. Probably no one would ever see that, but okay. All right. So that is it. That's my little sink. I'm going to let him sit flat so that he can dry. I am going to take some before and after photos. I will insert them after I'm done talking. And yeah, so thanks for joining along with me. I think I did everything. Sink, fabric, and the other two pieces have gone missing. Oh yeah, I put them back in the house to take photos. So I will make sure and show you guys those. Thanks for joining me today. I know it was a long one. I hope it's inspired you to make some of your own aged creepy miniatures. Make sure, as always, if you make something similar to this based off a tutorial, tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see what you guys make. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next live stream.